A record number of voters turned out for Tuesday's caucuses across the state, with many newcomers learning along the way how to select their favorite candidates.
My daughter, who's with us, is really kind of what drove us over here tonight. She shows a strong interest in the process, so that's one reason we're here, to kind of show her what's going on.
Democrat Tony Harris of Andover came with his family to caucus for the first time.
Part was curiosity to see how it works, but also the field of candidates is kind of interesting, especially on the non-Democratic side. So I feel like kind of weighing in terms of who we want to see elected president was kind of important this time around. Essentially, you just show up in the right precinct, and then they give you a piece of paper and with the candidates' names, and you check it off and give it back, and that's pretty much it.
Republican caucus convener Pete DeLong says his precinct more than doubled its turnout from 2008. He says he heard a wide array of reasoning on why supporters showed up.
There's this general feeling, at least among the Republicans, that this is that the nation is in dire straits, and that was expressed very commonly in our caucus. There were Trump supporters, there were Democrats or former Democrats who had moved over just so they could support Trump, which surprised me. And then others who felt strongly about the Constitution, who supported Cruz, and others who wanted someone who was electable, who supported Marco Rubio. It was remarkable. We had to bring in extra chairs, there were people standing even so, and so it was quite a deal.
That enthusiasm spread from caucus locations to here on the campus of Anoka-Ramsey Community College, where political science students demonstrated how voters are getting involved.
That, I believe, is the senator's position regarding Cuba.
Political science instructor John Herbert held a mock caucus in his class to help students better understand the process, many of which would take part in this week.
Sub-caucusing right now. We have 4 candidates who have achieved viability, and we're going to have stump speeches next, and we're going to take a straw poll. So the objective is to convince the rest of the precinct where we're at to select a ballot for their candidate.
And this year, everyone's finally had enough.
He says it's encouraging to see the younger generation get excited about politics.
It makes me feel good, makes me feel proud of them as a group. They've been asking excellent questions and just really trying to drive home, you guys have a stake in this. A caucus is truly a gathering of people from a particular neighborhood or precinct where they get together and they choose a candidate to represent their party in the ballot in Minnesota. Also, though, what's so unique about a caucus compared to a primary is that they conduct other party business, endorse candidates for other local offices, resolutions put forth are voted on, and truly a way to get involved in the nuts and bolts of politics locally. It's a proportional sort of system. So, for example, Bernie Sanders won approximately 62% of the vote in Minnesota in the preference poll, so approximately 62% of the delegates will be apportioned to him.
DeLong helped the students conduct part of the caucus just as he did at his precinct the night before.
It's a great process. I think I like the caucus system. It's awkward and unwieldy in many ways, but it gives people a chance to say what's on their mind in a context where it matters, and that's really, I think, a great thing.
With non-frontrunners Bernie Sanders and Marco Rubio winning the state, Herbert says it shows Minnesotans look beyond popularity.
Thank you so much.
I like to think of it that we take more time to think about it, and we educate ourselves on the issues maybe more than some others, and we truly look at the bigger picture rather than voting with what sounds good. Minnesota's role has become a little bit more prominent since we moved up our caucus.
I wasn't expecting quite a few Democrats here out in the red suburbs, so it's a nice kind of surprise, I guess.
Anoka County is full of passionate people who participate. It's just the politics run a little bit more towards the conservative side.
He says if Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, who were crushed in the polls here, continue to win delegates in other states and are nominated, it could impact voter turnout here in Minnesota.
But if people are truly disinterested or they're not excited about either one, that does affect turnout. And then that also affects other races where a few votes really do matter, particularly for the state legislature. So get involved now and participate, because as it was mentioned many times last night, and we say a lot in class too, and our parents probably told us, don't expect something if you don't participate.